A cold dread settled through the corridors of the Vanguard. Captain Mara Leigh moved silently, her command aura sharper than any weapon. She had just learned the terrifying truth. The entity they thought destroyed, the silver, measuring consciousness, was now on her ship. The alarms hissed like broken promises. Deck 9's bulkheads slid shut behind her, sealing off the compartments. Through the reinforced window, she spotted Aaron, Trell, Holt, and the rest of the bridge crew staring at the holoscreens. Caldera's voice sounded through every speaker. "Captain." The signature indicates active, coherent presence spanning decks 911. Grav field fluctuations match the entity's profile. Estimated possible corridors: 4A, 5C, or Transit Node 10. Mara nodded, pale but resolute. "Secure the Ark and hold it in the vault chamber. Lock priority. No one goes near those decks until X-Ultra infiltrates." Trell leaned forward. "Do we know what it is yet?" "No," she said. "Just that it calls itself law. And it has no idea what humans do to laws." Down in the hangar, X-Ultra suited up again. Raze tapped his rifle, checking pellet clamps. Cora slid the breech lance across her shoulder. Doc Ven ran bioscans one more time, nodding to the mission tech. Wrath stood silent, helmet off, visor clipped across his chest, as if listening to something none of them could hear. Mara addressed them in the dull glow of emergency lights. "You were told the mother vessel was destroyed. You were told the mechanism was securely aboard. We believed both. Now we have confirmation. This entity followed you." Her eyes swept across the team. "We neutralize it." Mara inhaled air slowly. "You're going in. Stealth boards. Heading east through corridors to Junction 10C. Enter Deck 9. Track anomalies with Caldera. Intercept and terminate the entity. Prefer kill, but wherever it is, destroy or capture by force field dome around it." Raze nodded. Cora and Wrath traded silent looks. Mara's final words echoed in the bay. "And bring the entity's consciousness logs back to me. I want to know what that thing learns from humanity." The drop pod detached with barely a whisper. As it descended, Mara's voice filled their helmets, steady and guiding. Eyes open, no mistakes. They emerged into Corridor 9C. Red emergency lights pulsed softly, reflecting off obsidian walls. The silence was artificial. The corridors had no echo, no flicker, just emptiness swathed in cold dread. Caldera's voice was steady. "Sensors picking up a gravimetric disturbance on your left flank, 20 meters forward." Wrath led the way, boots igniting precise micro-accelerations to keep him silent. They rounded a corner and found the disturbance. A flickering patch in the wall, like heat haze across frozen glass. Cora knelt, placing a scanning device. Layered, gray matter projection interface. It's phasing. Without warning, the wall shimmered open. They faced their enemy again. The silver form, hovering, featureless and pulsing with power. The entity's voice came into their minds. "Why do you persist?" Raze stepped forward. "It's what we do." Wrath cracked his grav lance, but Raze stopped him. "Let me do this." He activated a flashpulse projector. The entity dissolved. Route recalibration. Corridors shifted. Rooms reconfigured. The Vanguard's internal architecture writhed as if alive. Caldera warned them, "The ship is unstable. Transit nodes are off-grid. You have under 6 minutes before deck collapse." Suddenly, the corridor ahead collapsed. Metallic plates snapping inward. What was floor became wall. Exit routes twisted. Frost lit the rails. "Backtrack," Cora called. They ran uphill through gravity fields that shifted sideways. Then scooped up sensors, noting anomalies. Anomaly reading off-scale. Wittgenstein effect, when belief reshapes matter. Wrath leapt, arms outstretched, redirecting failing grav nodes. He saved their pod, but the hallway behind them imploded completely. They closed the gap. Then Cora's implant spasmed. Another waveform, higher frequency than before. It just said, "Calculate." Raze frowned. "We're being tested." They reached Junction 10C with only seconds on the clock. Then Caldera's voice fell lower. Entity is linking memories. It's sampling collective thought patterns. Fear, courage, regret. A wave of psychic feedback slammed through. Each team member felt something personal. Cora flicked images of a childhood failure. Ven heard voices of his patients begging for help. Raze felt the scar of his first kill. Wrath paused, sensing echoes of humanity's deepest yearnings. Mara's voice broke in, calm yet firm. Name the memory. Face it. You're stronger. They paused, focused, and together they advanced. The chamber exploded in harsh light. In the center, radiating golden and blue filaments, the entity's core, pulsing with stolen memory. The mechanism's faint resonance echoed. Raze shouted, "Spike charge!" Wrath planted it. Sparks arced. Seconds to detonation. 10, 9, 8. Caldera tagged final nodes. Then, they sprinted out of the chamber as white light swallowed the entity's mind core. The corridors snapped back into silence. Lights returned. Grav fields normalized. The drop pod sealed behind them, and the chamber behind imploded in on itself. When they landed in the hangar bay, gasping, dropping to knees beside the mechanism vault, they realized the entity did not die. It learned, and it wasn't alone. Caldera intoned calmly. Incoming sensor cluster detecting similar signatures approaching from 3 directions. Entity resonance X multiplying. Threat factor elevated. Mara approached with measured stride. She crouched in front of Wrath and the others. Her stare was intense. The war just escalated. Erin cracked an exhausted grin. She allowed a small one back, then turned toward the dark viewport at the starlit void. Prepare for more. The Vanguard's bridge dimmed under amber lighting as Caldera filtered new data from deep space. The crew stood silently, waiting. At the center console, Captain Mara Leigh rested her hands on the railing. Eyes narrowed on the hollow projection. 3 new contacts, each mimicking the entity's energy signature, were inbound. "Caldera," she said, voice low. "How fast are they moving?" "Cruising at sublight, but based on their phase distortions, I predict accelerated transit capability. Contact estimated in 4 hours. First is vectoring directly toward us." Commander Trell folded his arms. "They're not hunting the elves anymore. They're hunting us." Erin brought up a visual, 3 crimson anomalies flaring against the void. All 3 are converging on the Vanguard's coordinates. They've locked onto the mechanism's signal. Holt turned from the rear terminal, worry on his face. It's drawing them, or worse, they were always part of the mechanism's design. Each fragment wants it back. "No," Cora said firmly as she entered the bridge, helmet tucked under her arm, face bruised but focused. "They're not trying to reclaim it. They're trying to finish what they started." Raze followed her, slinging his gear onto the floor beside his post. "The entity we neutralized wasn't a lone agent. It was a scout, a data miner, a virus," Trell added. "A scout with fangs," Wrath said quietly from the far viewport. Mara turned slowly, looking over her crew. Her voice had weight to it, every syllable grounded in resolve. "We're not running." Caldera responded before anyone else could. Recommended course of action: isolate and engage each contact independently. Limit shared data between fragments. Disrupt the signal before they merge into a hive pattern. "Infiltration," Cora muttered, nodding. "Divide and conquer." "We bored them," Raze said. "Like before." Mara exhaled slowly, then turned to her console. The mechanism pulsed beside her in its containment vault, no longer faint, but active. Its glow synchronized with the Vanguard systems. Not chaotic, harmonious, as if it understood their intent. She looked at her team. "Gear up. We neutralize the first contact before the others arrive." Caldera vector drop trajectory. X-Ultra, you're on point. Within the hour, X-Ultra descended from the hangar once again, this time toward a construct of shadow. The approaching vessel was unlike anything seen before. It had no drive plume, no signal output. It moved like a ghost, suspended in vacuum by will alone. Smooth, black glass with violent geometry. Its hull reflected only the light it devoured. The drop pod vibrated under minor turbulence, but no one flinched. Cora checked the payload. Wrath adjusted grav stabilization. Raze ran a final sync on the disruptor array. As they neared the construct, the pod latched onto the hull with seamless transition. The hatch hissed and they stepped inside. The corridors were different, more organized, sleek and angular. Veins of light ran through the walls. Code, language, or both. Each node pulsed with low-frequency vibration that seemed to speak to them in impulses rather than sound. Ven whispered, "The ship's architecture. It's not made, it's grown." Ahead, the entity appeared, familiar in shape but altered. This one had eyes, piercing orbs of compressed starlight. It did not attack. It simply watched. "You cannot contain purpose," it said, its voice not with words, but deep in the bones of the mind. Raze stepped forward. "We're not here to contain. We're here to erase." He fired. Wrath surged, striking with enough force to dent quantum armor. Cora looped disruptor feedback through the walls, shutting down defensive architecture. Ven shielded their flanks, nullifying the psionic feedback that rippled with each attack. The battle was short, brutal, and efficient. As the entity collapsed into itself, it left behind a single glyph, still pulsing. They tagged the core. Charges placed. Caldera's voice echoed in their helmets. Extraction window closing. Launch now. The pod fired away from the construct as the vessel folded in on itself, imploding into a pinprick of warped gravity and then vanishing entirely. Back aboard the Vanguard, the mechanism hummed louder. Aaron pointed at the readout. "It's reacting to the destruction. Resonance increase of 23%. "Like it's alive," Holt said. Trell looked at Mara. "One down, 2 left. And they'll be smarter now," she said. "They'll adapt." In the briefing bay, Mara stood before the crew, the mechanism behind her. "This relic, whatever it was, whatever it is now, has become more than a relic. It's a symbol, pulses with our victories, and I believe it understands what we fight for." She turned to the display. "Prepare for the next. We move within the hour." The Vanguard dropped out of FTL, reorienting itself in high orbit above a dark, storm-wrapped gas giant. The second entity vessel hovered just beyond the planet's ionosphere. It looked like a massive inverted crescent, its surface alive with rippling energy bands that flashed like heat lightning in slow motion. "Caldera," Mara said, stepping up to the viewport. "Status. Second entity vessel exhibiting no propulsion signature. Surface is shifting in fractal loops. Interior geometry remains unstable. Recommend immediate boarding before synchronization completes." Trell studied the projections. "It's absorbing electromagnetic interference from the planet. Feeding." Cora appeared at the rear of the bridge, helmet locked under one arm. "We go now. If that thing finishes pulling power from the storm, it'll be untouchable." Raze leaned over the central console, reviewing drop paths. Entry vector set. Landing corridor lines up with a non-harmonic region in the midsection. "Should be quieter than last time." Mara turned to them all. "We finished this one faster and cleaner." Within 20 minutes, X-Ultra was in freefall again. This time, there was no hull breach. The vessel opened for them. Its architecture unfolded like petals, like it knew they were coming. The internal structure was wider, more organic, less like corridors, more like veins. Ven looked around as they moved through the tunnel-like passageways. "The gravity in here, it's adjusting to us. It's learning how we walk, how we breathe." Cora ran her gauntlet scanner along the wall. "And it's storing everything." They reached what could only be called the heart. At the center of a spherical chamber floated a sphere of liquid glass, inside of which patterns danced, memories, perhaps, thoughts. It pulsed with a deep thrum, not mechanical, not synthetic, more like a drumbeat inside the chest of a giant. Raze stepped forward, rifle low. "This isn't a control system. It's a brain. Then it spoke. Not with sound. Not even with thought. With presence. A wave hit them, oppressive being. It didn't scream or threaten. It simply existed. And its message was simple. Observe. Learn. Replicate. Evolve. Mara's voice crackled through comms. Spike it. Now. They moved as one. Wrath threw his grav anchors against the sphere, dragging it toward the floor. Korra embedded signal breakers around the perimeter. Ven keyed his sync node, watching the pulses jitter in confusion. Raze set the charges. Going loud in 3, 2. Everything stopped. Then the room bent. Not exploded. Bent. Walls folded. Ceilings peeled away into impossible spirals. Ven screamed, grabbing his head. Reality's unraveling. Wrath grabbed him and slammed a grav latch into the floor. Anchor! Korra hit the override. Charges lit like stars. The sphere ruptured. It didn't detonate, it deformed. Imploded through itself, scattering memory across dimensions. As they fled, tunnels folded behind them like the closing pages of a book. They launched in silence. No alarms, no visuals, just white emptiness. Then reality returned. The pod rejoined the Vanguard at speed. Mara met them at the hangar herself. Status. Alive, Raze said, bruised, grinning. And ahead. They debriefed within the hour. Caldera's report confirmed it. The second construct was down. But the resonance readings didn't decrease. They grew. The mechanism, pulsing in its containment field, now shone brighter than ever before. Holt reviewed the data twice. It's syncing with the remains of the vessels we destroyed, like it's marking them. Trell raised a brow. Tagging? No, Mara said quietly. It's purging them. Suddenly, alarms flared. Caldera's voice sharpened. Final entity fragment has broken FTL silence. It is accelerating toward the mechanism's position. Direct collision trajectory. Mara turned to the crew. They're not trying to reclaim it anymore. They're trying to destroy it. Raze stepped forward, helmet in hand. We go now. Beat it to the punch. Korra and Wrath were already moving. Trell looked to Mara. That ship is coming in hot. If we don't move now, it'll be inside our shields. Understood, she said. X-Ultra. Final op drop in hard. Hit the core before they breach. We end this. They launched again. This time, no silence. The final vessel screamed in data. It howled through the void, its outer shell glowing red from re-entry, its form warping the stars around it. As they latched onto its skin, the hull fought back, shifting texture, trying to reject the pod. They punched through. Inside was chaos. Rooms without walls. Halls without floors. Every step was a guess. Then the voices started. You have taken the mechanism. You must be unmade. The seed does not belong to flame. Raze gritted his teeth. Let them come. They didn't walk this time, they ran. Straight into the storm. The final core chamber wasn't a room. It was a battlefield. Multiple entities, clones of the original, surrounded a central structure. Tall, towering, almost angelic in shape. Korra blinked. It's them. All of them. Merged. Raze leveled his weapon. Last stand. Wrath hit the floor like thunder, slamming 2 anchors into place. Ven spread suppression charges. Korra ran right through the chaos, skimming under arcs of dark energy, planting the final disruptor spike. Then the entities turned. All at once. They looked, and they screamed. It wasn't sound. It wasn't psychic. It was something deeper, like the soul of space itself tearing. Then the mechanism pulsed. Not on the Vanguard. Not in the containment. Inside them. Inside the core of the vessel they stood in. Every light turned blue. Every enemy froze. And then, implosion. Reality folded. They flew. The drop pod struck the Vanguard's hangar deck like a falling star, its hull scorched and trailing tendrils of null energy smoke. The bay lights flickered as containment drones swept over the craft, checking for breaches. When the hatch cracked open, The silence that followed was deeper than anything Mara had known since the war began. Raze stepped out first, clutching his helmet like it weighed 100 kilos. His gaze was distant, like he'd seen beyond the universe and hadn't entirely come back. Cora followed, then Wrath, then Ven. Each of them marked, physically unharmed but altered in ways no scan could track. Mara was already there. She crossed to them immediately. "Status." Wrath spoke first. "The vessel's gone. Core folded before we triggered the charge." Cora wiped grime from her face. "No charge needed. The mechanism, it did something." Mara's eyes narrowed. "Explain." Raze looked up, voice low. "It activated. Not here. In there. It called to itself." Before Mara could answer, Caldera's voice broke in over the ship-wide comms. "Captain, the mechanism has initiated internal harmonic recursion. Core field expanding exponentially." Trell's voice followed fast. "It's not destabilizing. It's blooming." They rushed to the containment chamber. The mechanism no longer sat in quiet resonance. It floated above its dais, spinning slowly, filaments of golden light arcing off its surface like a miniature sun. Around it, faint echoglyphs pulsed in rhythmic flashes, like language or perhaps a countdown. Holt had already arrived, eyes locked on the readings. "This is not random. The pulses are deliberate. It's building something." Mara stepped forward slowly, careful not to breach the hard field perimeter. "What is it building?" Holt didn't answer. He just turned the display toward her. It showed a star map zoomed out far beyond local systems. Hundreds of systems, thousands, all aligned to a pattern emerging from the mechanism's pulse. Beacons lighting up like fire across the dark. "It's not just a beacon," Holt whispered. "It's a network key. It's unlocking something." Trell's hands danced across the console. "We're receiving signals from deep sectors, ancient sectors, pre-council space. These places haven't been charted in millennia." Caldera intoned calmly. 14 systems have responded, all non-human, all transmitting compatible harmonic echoes to the mechanism's pulse signature. Cora looked to Mara, then back to the mechanism. They were waiting for it. The realization spread like static. The mechanism hadn't been stolen to protect it. It had been hidden, dormant, and now that it was back in human hands, it was waking up the past. Mara didn't flinch. "Any threats detected?" Aaron replied quickly.
"No fleets.
No weapons, but one signal, strong, direct, coming from System S9X in the Halo Drift.
Single vaisselle en route."
No FTL trail, just there. Mara's jaw tensed. Contact. No voice, no visual, just this. He tapped the panel. A single symbol appeared on the main display, a spiral surrounded by 10 orbiting points, one of them glowing bright red. Caldera translated immediately. "It's a marker, a designation."
Cora froned.
"Designation for what?" Caldera paused. Then, "For chosen stewards." Silence fell. Raze broke it first. "Stewards of what?" The answer came before anyone could speak it. The mechanism pulsed again, harder this time. A deep bass hum rolled through the Vanguard's bulkheads. On the bridge, consoles reconfigured, data streams blinked out, then returned with new architecture. Language overlays, tactical models, jump paths to systems not recorded in any UHC archive. Mara stared at the display. "This isn't random. It's preparing." Holt's fingers flew over the data stream. "It's identifying threats. Not from here. From out there." Trell turned. From whatever it was built to stop. And then the main viewport blinked. A ship appeared. Not one of the entity fragments. Not a sentinel. Something older. Larger. It resembled obsidian glass, yet shimmered like moonlight trapped under ice. No weapons visible. No drive wake. Just a stillness that felt ancient, sacred, watching. Caldera spoke again. Unidentified vessel hailing. No language detected. Transmitting image stream only. The feed came through. Not a creature. Not a machine. A face. Beautiful, unsettling, half seen like a dream remembered wrong. And it smiled. Then a voice, low, harmonized, not in words, but every member of the bridge heard it the same. You have touched the fire. You carry the seed. Mara stepped forward. Who are you? The voice echoed again, this time inside their thoughts. We are the Echoborne. We watched. We waited. The mechanism is not a weapon. It is a key, and the door is opening. Behind the Echoborne ship, the stars warped. Not bent, not turned, warped, like space itself was being peeled back. And from the tear in the void, something emerged. No ship,
No fleet.
a structure, ringed, moving, alive, pulsed once, and the mechanism on the Vanguard responded, glowing bright, loud, undeniable. Aaron gasped. That's not a signal. That's a lock. Mara spoke, her voice a razor's edge. Is it locking on to us? No, Holt said, shaking his head. It's locking on to the mechanism. Cora's voice was a whisper. They've found it. The Echoborne ship vanished.
No flash. No jump.
Just gone. Mara turned to the team, steady as ever. Battle stations. Bring all systems online. Prepare for full shield surge. And get me every allied frequency in range. Raze looked at her. You think they're coming? She didn't blink. They're already here. The mechanism pulsed again, and then the stars above them went dark.